right, nice job. Good set. Let's do some social kick.
Lucy Morgan, what happened last week?
All right, here we are.
Yeah, so we're here. Now we're getting a different view, I guess, of our house. Luke wants to show off all the different angles of my home here.
What do you did a lot of work on?
To break in.
We, yeah,
What? I'm
we
just
have
kidding.
done that. But tell us about this shot. What are we trying to get here?
I just wanted us to get a little bit better lighting on us and a little darker behind us. So we have consistent lighting here, and we're seeing the four of us. So you're not seeing different parts of our body that is better to see our face.
There you go.
You know?
Exactly.
Aw, thanks, Luke.
And we have some, what's over here to the right? This bottle here, Luke.
Yeah.
It's my favorite rum. It's from Guyana. It's El Dorado, the 15-year-old. So it's a bit sweet, little molasses. You have that on the rocks, and normally I have it in the freezer, so it's like comes out like a honey texture, and it's fantastic. And you guys had some during that, I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I like a title that has a comma in it. You paused right there. El Dorado, the 15-year-old.
There we go. You get it for sale in America and online.
Luke the
Pretty
Great.
good.
There you go. And in front here we have some chocolates from Germany. My wife was at the World Cup out in Berlin.
Yeah.
Justin, what do you know about the Berlin World Cup results?
Nothing.
Luke?
I wonder why.
So all I know is from watching your wife's Instagram and seeing
That's-
how
He
she
knows more
posted.
about it than I do already. then.
So
Is that
and
right?
what,
Just checking out your wife's Instagram?
no, but Colleen was quite prominent on it, and she took a team from PASA, the age group was across there. So I was really interested to see how she and her swimmers were reacting to seeing the World Cup for the first time. And she just landed last night, right?
Yep,
so it's just fresh off the plane, basically.
What happened in Berlin? I don't know.
Why? How come?
Because the ISL was going on. I
Yeah.
didn't care about the
Yeah.
Berlin World Cup.
That was
Yeah, what'd you think of round 2, or what are we still? Match A, second competition? Is that what it's called?
That one lit it up.
Yeah?
It was
Yeah, that
so
was-
much more exciting than
Oh, yeah.
Indy. Indy was cool because it was the first one,
Sure.
but there was so much more energy in that building. I don't
Yeah.
know if it was the venue or the fact that it was in Italy or I don't know. I mean,
Or just Mark Foster commentating? Is that
maybe
what
it was Mark
for?
Foster. He
Yeah.
sounds nice.
He does sound nice.
Yeah.
So,
It was incredible though. So much energy in the pool. Obviously, two like really tight team races that really helped. And man, fast swimming. Of course, Dressel being there was a big change. But week 2 brought all of the excitement that this pro swim league can bring, and it absolutely knocked it out of the park.
so you didn't miss the deck, you not being there.
No.
It's interesting, right?
we all
I mean,
know.
yeah, like would it have
Yes.
made it better? Yes.
Yeah.
But did I
You didn't
notice
notice
that
it.
she was gone?
Yeah,
No.
I saw it for the first time, yes, on Sunday with you, John.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Justin,
we
and
we
was
watched it.
Fantastic. I
Yeah.
can't wait for this weekend.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've seen it. It's
What stood out for
better than I
you,
imagined.
being your first time? And
The speed at which it worked at and how much it looked like an NCAA college meeting, how much they pushed to have clubs against clubs, like
Mhm.
Man U playing Tottenham. They really seemed like they got behind that. And, you know, there was definitely, they made an effort not to show the names of the swimmers and what times they did as much as the points they got to contribute towards the bigger goal of a team winning. And so they really pushed that. And you know what? Seeing the camaraderie of the team and cheering and how much they got into that, man, I wanted to be on deck.
yeah.
Yeah, didn't you?
It looks like a fun
Definitely,
atmosphere to be on deck. I mean, it just again, it like when the energy is so strong and loud. It's like you hear musicians talk about how much fun it is, or comedians talk about how
DJ
great it is to
yeah.
play like a really
Yeah.
unique, small, intimate venue
Mhm.
that just it
Right.
just brings out the experience.
Mhm.
And it numbs it out if you're in like a big arena.
Yeah,
Then
totally.
I think it just seemed like it had that.
Big time.
It almost kind of felt like American Gladiators or
Oh, yeah.
or Guts.
There you go.
Kind of like a. This sounds kind of like a weird comparison. Almost like American Ninja Warrior, just how they're just
Yeah,
like pumping
I was
through
gonna say that.
events. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can think of at the top of my head.
And
at
it's nice
least.
that it's so dark around for the
Mhm.
gladiator point, so it really focuses on the arena. So you really do feel like you're in this arena and you're going out to battle, and it's 2 against 2. It's very hella exciting. I can imagine how pumped up they were. Probably how to survive all those crazy races.
Sure.
Mhm.
Wow.
I mean, one thing that you brought up was, focusing on the points and not the times.
Yeah.
And I know you even brought up when we were watching it,
Absolutely.
and I've seen on the comment boards that, I think pure swim fans, they want to know everyone's time, everyone's splits, and things like that. Are you okay with them not doing that? Do you think as they improve, and I even saw improvements from the, just how they're presenting it on TV from
Mhm.
week 1 to week 2. Do you think that would enhance it more? You think just having the points and the top time is good enough?
Again, I'm going to compare it to like the Premier League of soccer. I really care if Man U beats Tottenham. And I don't care so much to know about all of the players in the team or what stats they got in the team. I do, but I really care about more team winnings. I think they're really trying to build this whole pro team against team competing.
Right.
Because I think that's the audience they're going for, not so much our audience, because we're going to watch it anyway. And so our audience naturally wants to know the splits and wants to know how they're competing against each other and where they're at. Oh my God, Dressel went 21-3 in the third race. That's amazing for us. Does my dad care about that? No. My dad cares that Dressel won to get the points to have or to be the MVP and almost get his team to win. That's what he cares about, and that's the audience they're going for, I think. But it's going to be hard for me.
I think some of that context, though, is kind of cool to add as supplementary commentary in the broadcast, and I think that would really set it off.
They didn't add much.
Yeah, because, I mean, what we talked about before we got on was 10 years ago, the American record in the 50 free short course was 21-1. And Dressel went 21-3 in his third 50 in 6 minutes. I mean, that's crazy. But just like little nuggets like that, that I think would really help throughout the broadcast. And again, I mean, they're trying to cater to a general sporting audience. I don't think that's the audience that they need to go for.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. That's what they're committing to right now. We'll see how it goes in season 1. But yeah, broadcast quality is getting better.
Oh, yeah.
The team that's there getting insights from the deck is really good.
Sure.
I mean, you're really starting to see an even growing disparity between the haves and the have-nots. You've got 2 really elite teams, 2 teams, that are, I mean, there's huge separation. And I mean, I don't know, it doesn't take that many points to then get in the final. So
I got confused by what teams were what.
Make it.
What do you mean?
Who was in what? I still couldn't tell much separation and difference in the lanes. Like maybe they should color the lanes differently, or have names on what's going on. It was hard to follow who was in what lanes, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
Better labeling or better coloring.
I think they're still working on that.
Like red suits and red hats.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That
I agree
could
with
be
the
helpful.
uniform
That could
comment.
be really helpful, yeah. Well, and we talked about this last time, and I finally watched it live for the first time this past Sunday. We were talking about how small the logos are, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I could barely tell. And you get that flash of I guess they have the name, the team right before they take your mark. But you only have so little time, and you don't and you can't memorize all of those lanes beforehand because you're just so intrigued by the racing. But maybe again, like Luke was saying, maybe perfect color cap, right suit because an arena, speedo, finis, whatever. They can definitely make a suit the color, right? I mean,
did it play well on TV? I think it played well on TV.
Yeah,
good
definitely.
camera angles.
I thought it was, but I like the idea of the colors in the lanes.
Yeah,
not,
I think
not,
so
not
too.
like NFL style where they light up the lane or like we
Sure.
see the graphics on it for meets on Worlds or the Olympics. But I mean, literally lights in the pool.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
I think something like
that'd be
that.
cool.
Some light, like you said, some different colors for the whole team so you can pick it out. I still think it's an error on the ISL on having different lanes per sessions. I think just you do the drawing for what lanes you're in for day 1, and that's your same lanes for day 2. It's not switching
keep it for
from
the
day
whole meet.
1 to day 2. I think it's a little tricky there. And then I think, like we said, the production of having, the name of the athlete and their name in the lane like they do for some of the races. They need to do that for every race. And then I don't think it will be that big of a change to put whatever. They have the 2 columns after each one when they show the results. The times for everyone and then the points for everyone. And then I think that will appease everyone a little bit more.
Put their name on their back. Like in football, they all look the same. They have a helmet on. You can't tell in American football.
Manu, do right on his forehead, right? What else do you need from these people?
But you get that in some sports. You can have some kind of name. And you know what? You can tell they're still trying to work it out themselves. Did you notice in the skins meet, Caleb was in the first round, he was in lane 7 or 8, right?
Yeah.
And then in the top 4, he stood up in lane 7 to go again, and he had to be asked to move to a different lane. And he was a bit confused with that, but he adapted really well.
Yeah.
But then we got lost. Obviously we knew it was Caleb because we're Summers and we know his tattoo and everything. But when he got moved, label him better so we can know where he's at, and also give us the stakes. Like, do you realize that if this person who tied for 3rd,
You had Ben Proud, and then you had the guy from Greece that I can never pronounce his name. Christian G.K.
So realize that if he all of a sudden got 2nd, then that would have broken up and could have won the meet for
I know, they didn't hit that point at all.
Yeah.
I know, that was
That's
frustrating.
huge.
Yeah, and I was a little bit confused maybe by the point breakdown because I was trying to figure it out in my head. But I think lighting that up would have been like, oh wow.
That's
I know. I
this needs to
kept
happen,
waiting for them to say, okay,
Yeah.
so now this doesn't matter because mathematically,
It's
like
out.
they've
Yeah.
won and
Right.
the standard is won. and
Yeah.
they didn't make that
And
point.
Caleb is just swimming for honor and for his, to stamp his authority. You
For
know,
the
what have
MVP
you.
Right.
or
MVP.
just for points later on, or why
Mhm.
points now might help out later on.
Yeah, I mean, you
or-
could see, like, James
Money-wise,
Gibson
yeah,
was
monetary,
celebrating,
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
Energy Stands all happy, and Kelly Condors weren't. And
Yeah.
it's like,
MVP.
but they didn't say it.
I love that MVP is gender neutral. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and you notice the
different.
balance was females in the
Yes,
MVP race over the
right.
males.
Yeah, because when we were watching, I noticed that right away, and I remember, like, I was like, dude, do you notice, like, it's a lot of the
great.
female swimmers that are actually, you know, you'll have, like,
Finally.
finding, like, a big chunk is females, and then I think you said, like, maybe till 11th, maybe by the end of the meet, we had a guy, you know, and
Other
then maybe,
than-
and it's
Other
like,
than LaClo and
and,
Dressel, they
Dressel,
were the
yeah,
top ones.
right.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see
Mhm. Yeah.
the neutralness.
Yeah, one other thing that I think is interesting is how in between during the breaks they go to the managers or the coaches and they kind of show them turning in
awesome.
these changes.
Yeah.
Do we like that?
I want to hear some more of that. I
Yeah.
want
I wanna
to
hear the
hear.
audio,
I want to hear
yeah.
behind the scenes in
Mhm.
cricket, in the IPL, in your Premier League. You actually get to speak to them during the match. You get to speak to the athletes and the coaches and get the insights. So John, tell me what you're thinking about here. That with this lineup. Oh well, and you're seeing the swimming. You say, well, you know, I expected Caleb to do this. It's nice to get some behind the scene commentary and patch it in.
Yeah.
So they'll get
But
that.
it's not that though. I
What
mean,
is it?
I guess
See-
you're
seeing
saying
the
you want to go
relationship.
beyond. I
I wanna
mean,
go
them just
more.
showing the lineup changes. It's just I don't know. I guess it's
It was
somewhat
cool, some behind
interesting.
the
Or showing
scenes.
them on deck, right?
For us again.
But you want to
yes.
see it go maybe another step beyond.
Some more insights, more commentary from them, and get to know the coaches a bit more. Like, how come they chose these coaches? Who's James Gibson?
Mhm.
Who's the Italian coach? I'm not aware of the Italian coach.
Yeah.
Right, for NG Standard.
No.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know
James
his
Gibson,
name.
right?
Gibson.
No, sorry.
Gibson's Energy Standard. The
But he's
Italian
not the
guys are
coach.
Centurions.
Or is
Gibson's
he
not
the
the
manager?
coach. He's the
He's the general
ambassador.
manager.
Oh,
But he's
okay.
the one that they're always showing,
seems
which
so,
is
right.
interesting.
That's
Versus
weird.
they don't show Krazelberg or Sandino.
I didn't see it, yeah.
At least like interviewing them,
'Cause who
like
was
they
it?
are Gibson.
Yeah,
so
like
it's
DC
it's
tried, and they were always showing
Gallagher,
Gallagher,
right?
Yeah,
The coach, right?
I
Right.
love
yeah.
to hear Greg Troy comment on
Yeah.
swimming.
Well, what do you mean? So, like, Greg Troy's the coach,
yeah,
and Lezak's there, GM. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Gibson's the GM for
Oh, I thought he was
Energy
both.
Standard. Maybe he's both. Maybe
Oh,
I'm
okay.
mistaken there, but I do know he's the GM because I was deep diving rosters earlier.
Because they
and,
focus mostly, like, on the deck, they're focusing on coaches.
Right, yeah. And he
Yeah.
seems to be
So you've
coaching.
got,
Yeah.
So maybe he is
yeah.
dual GM and coach there.
Two big
Yeah.
takeaways. I love the camaraderie of all the nations coming together and everyone getting together.
Right.
You know, you had Mary Sophie Harvey, who's a Canadian, high fiving all the other athletes. You had Chad and Sarah and Femke. That's three different nations there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was wonderful to see it all come together. It's great for our sport. And then you and I, we talked about this. You definitely saw Energy Standard. They trained together. They kicked
They were
butt
having a
together.
They were having a
They
blast.
knew each other
yeah.
well. Flora, Ben, they all trained together. Boom.
So let's talk about the actual swimming. Luke, it was your first time
Mhm.
seeing it. What stood out to you in from the actual swims themselves?
I thought the swimming. I thought they worked hard. I thought the swimming was fast.
You thought they worked hard.
I
That's what you had to say. You thought they
Bravo,
worked hard.
ISL. You tried hard though.
Good. I'm glad they're
I'm
trying.
meaning-
He's got a few kids. He's got to give him the VG version.
I'm meaning they didn't seem like they gave up. They really went to like to see Manado swim a 50 breaststroke. I mean, he really tried to get in there. You know, like he didn't just go there for the points. They worked hard.
Worked hard. John, what
I
stood out
haven't
to
been
you?
told.
You know,
Dick two, John. What stood out to you?
You know, I cannot
They worked
disagree. They
hard.
appeared to work hard. There's no one denying that. I think
Not
you know,
racing in 2 hours. That's what I mean.
you're cut off. Be quiet. All
Trying.
right. I mean, the takeaways for me, it's impressive to see them go from Indy across the country, get up there and race. A lot of them doing, as good as races as they did before. But then again, some surprises. I think Sostrom losing that 100 fly right off the back to Kelsey, that was surprising.
Yeah.
But maybe that, is a little bit of fatigue, is a little bit of strategy, I don't think she's trying to lose, but it's like, hey, I got 8 swims here in 2 sessions. I need to conserve a little. More than 8, I'm sure. And then another takeaway that I had was in the 400 free, we've been talking about since the beginning. Why are they doing 2, 2,
Yeah.
2, 2?
Yeah.
Why are they paired next to each other? And I think for the first time I saw Titmus and who was it? Morgales.
Mhm.
They got 1-2 in that 400, and the commentators were like, "Oh, Titmus is dying. Morgales is catching her." I'm pretty sure Titmus was letting Morgales ride her hip all the way to second place there.
Mhm.
So that was interesting to see a little pacing and some drag occurring.
Like
And
it's
I think-
cycling almost.
yeah, exactly.
Bring your
So,
team
a
up.
little extra strategy.
so I was like, oh, I never thought that.
Yeah.
You know, it was in the back of my head, but I wasn't sure if that would ever really happen.
Mhm.
But I think it did here. So those were my main takeaways: just the amount of races, some great athletes. I mean,
And they worked
Caleb was
hard.
amazing, and A for effort all around everyone.
I'm glad
They tried really
What about you,
hard.
Dan?
Well, I mean, you talk about the travel. They should have taken the International Space Station. Neil Tyson says it only takes 15 minutes to cross the ocean.
There you go. You've been listening to Joe Rogan some more, huh?
Hey, that's travel steroids. We'll get into that later.
Do-do-do.
Yeah. I was wrong about Dressel. I thought there was no way he was going faster than 20.7, and
you got
he was
20.6?
fast, so I was wrong about that. He lit it up. I mean, there's just certain people that stand out in this format, and
Yeah.
there's some people that
Wah, wah,
suck at this format, you know. And again, it could be like the time of year. It could be it's a
A
ton
lot of
races.
factors.
Yeah.
Ton of
There's
races,
a lot of
short course
races, a lot of travel.
meters.
2 days in a row. Go. It's a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's not easy to swim.
Mhm.
Essentially, I mean, it's a dual meet, right?
And
it's like,
those
you know how
events
you
come
follow
up
dual meets?
quick.
That's what I noticed. It was
Like,
Yeah.
which I
15,
love
20 minutes.
watching. Like those, just boom, boom, boom. You don't even get to watch the walkouts because they're talking about it, and there's another one.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I think I wasn't as blown away though by the times from Dressel aside. There
Mhm.
wasn't anything that stood out to me time wise from week 2.
Yeah.
You know, it was more about the competition, and I mean, I don't disagree with putting points on or times on the screen, but it didn't matter. You know, like, and honestly, I was surprised by that. I mean, even Dressel gave some commentary saying what he's excited about is that the
racing.
yeah, it's about the racing and the times don't matter, which, I mean, it's not really true. I mean, it's like, yeah, well, I guess in this format it is, but that's not the only place where time doesn't matter, right? There's other dual meets and point formats, and the Olympic final, the time doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, there's other formats like that, but you know, it was the first time that I've watched something and like literally not cared what the times were. The only thing that I noticed was the 21.3 from Dressel on rep number 3, which was insane.
Definitely.
I really enjoy watching the pure sprinters die in the skins.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Except Caleb.
Women's skins was really interesting, actually.
What she did in her last 50,
Oh, yeah.
in the first 25.
Yeah,
using
that
the
was
stroke.
So,
Yeah.
and she kind of flopped in a little bit and then just breathed right off the bat. Was it Social?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she was
mean,
just kind of like going for the ride and then just kind of.
If they were having
like,
fun,
yeah,
their
just
teammates
messing
they-
around a little bit.
The
Yeah.
relays confused me.
How
I
so?
didn't quite know what was going on, and I only was interested because I wanted to see what Caleb would do. Because for those who to remember, everybody went male, male, female, female, except for Caleb's team, they went male, female, female, male.
Mhm.
So Caleb had to make back a 25-meter almost.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
So that kept me interested. I knew it was not going to happen, but
Mhm.
otherwise I didn't. The relays got confused. I didn't know what swimmers were what and what team and where it was going. So it was like,
confusing.
I
I think what also
But too
is a
quickly.
little challenging too. I believe there's also like 8. They're using all 8 lanes, so it makes it a little bit hectic as well.
I
too.
imagine,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
for
so what do you think about having 2 teams, like 2 relays per team?
I think I like it honestly because I think the points, you know, when it comes down to the point strategy, right? I think it makes it a little bit more interesting.
You gotta be deep.
Yeah,
Well, so
you
I
gotta
mean,
be
yeah,
so
but like,
deep,
I mean,
yeah.
that was a key lineup
Yeah.
below though for
Yeah.
Cali.
Yeah.
When
Go
were
Condors.
They could've
Yeah, I
gone
mean, they
one,
could have
too.
swapped Natalie Hines
Yeah.
and I forget who the other freestyle
Yeah.
was, but I mean, they could have gone
Yeah,
one too
absolutely.
for sure. Which I mean, lesson learned. Lizak
Mhm.
called that out on the broadcast.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
but which I think so. This is gonna be kind of funny with the league is it is a it's a profession. So
Yeah.
there's gonna be people like I mean I don't know if you can get like released in the middle of the season, but I mean
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like
Mhm.
there's going to be some people that get fired because they're
Mhm.
not good at this format, or maybe there's coaches that aren't great at the lineups.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, what
I'm excited to
what
see that.
happens year 2? Is there a draft? Do you get cut?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Are
don't
you
know. So-
are you with
well,
these teams
yeah.
forever?
Yeah, I mean, do
I
they
don't-
disband
Can
some
you get-
teams and
can
like
you get
redistribute
traded?
talent?
Yeah.
Can we do a fantasy league on it?
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
can. I guarantee that.
I mean, that's one of the things that makes the NFL so compelling is that there's parity year
Yeah,
after year. And,
exactly.
And it's different than the other leagues where there's
New
like salary
teams.
cap.
like
and so,
do the Centaurians, if they're in last, get first pick?
Were the contracts for these public?
I don't think so. I don't remember seeing anything.
See, it was like
about
all free agency, and that's how you ended up with some of the swimmers like affiliated with their club or with their country. Even
Well,
Gunnar Bentz is the only American who's swimming.
Yeah, I was
for
reading
European
that you're
team.
like the U.S. teams pretty much had first dibs at the Americans or something like that. Like there was
Yeah.
some, presidents were trying to get you for your
There are no
country.
big sponsorships. I didn't see much sponsors on them.
On like the
those
signs with the
side, yeah.
teams, they were some, but it was
Like,
stuff I
we
never
didn't see
heard
much.
of.
Like
Minimal sponsorship.
mirror pools or whatever. That's like a normal one.
Murtha.
Murtha. That's like the only one I really recognize if I can
And the
recall.
irony is, it wasn't a Murtha pool as well. Was it?
So
Was it Murtha?
what is the significance of the cities?
I have no clue.
And how
That's
come
a question.
London is the only city that's in the name for the European teams yet? Like, why are there
DC.
two? Why is there an LA and a Cali and a DC
Mhm.
and a Brooklyn team
Mhm.
or whatever, New York?
Yeah,
Mm.
why are the
Why?
teams the name? Yeah,
don't understand.
and
Yeah.
why the venues?
I mean,
Yeah.
for
why
the,
there's
I get
no
like
California meet when there's two California
Yeah.
Teams,
I mean,
yeah, it makes
I don't
no
know.
sense.
Yeah, who's the home meet for Louisville, Texas? Like, I mean,
I
so
don't
if
know.
the argument was
I
we're
don't
gonna base a team in DC, Ledecky's from DC, do it like the AAF,
Yeah.
they got disbanded. Which the way that they drafted was those local teams got first pick at the college players
That's right,
who were
within the
elite in
region.
their area. So like you had Aaron Murray playing for the Atlanta team because he was the Georgia quarterback,
Yeah.
and so in that sense I would get it. Put the California swimmers out there, put the Texas swimmers in Texas, etc.
Go to swimming
You didn't see that.
nations or swimming towns or swimming cities, but
Right.
Dallas, Texas, swimming town, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Why didn't they make it like that? Would have been cool.
Mhm.
Indy,
Indy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
no,
know, I don't
yeah. The Cali
Berlin.
Condors makes no sense.
Yeah, because it's people
Yeah.
from like Florida, like
Well, it's
Yeah,
just like you
yeah.
have a lot of, like you said, city, LA. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
confusing.
still
I agree. I think
confusing.
some consistency there, some consistency with the logos, some consistency
Mm-hmm.
with team colors could have been helpful for them.
Mhm.
So we'll see how it all pans out.
first season.
Justin, any
Yeah.
other time takeaways or other takeaways from ISL that you had?
It's very fun to watch it live.
Mhm.
It is fast paced for sure.
Live? Oh, just live.
So
Yeah.
like just on the TV.
was
I
like,
will
sick,
say,
man.
as
It's
big
cool.
as
Yeah.
swimmers as we are, and I'm not as good with the international names. I mean, even Luke, I was like, "Who's this person? Who's this
You know,
person?"
there were a lot of like
Yeah, people we didn't know.
people
Yeah,
probably
I
didn't
was
get
Googling
second swims at
people.
Worlds.
Well,
you
I
know?
even said on an earlier episode that Scasoli, when we talked about him, was the guy with the wedge issue, but it's
Yes.
not. Like that's
Yeah.
he's the breaststroker, and
Oh,
Sabiani was the.
So,
It's good for me to get more educated.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
leading
And
up to
it-
Tokyo,
yeah.
I'm gonna feel more
Right.
versed.
Right, and we get to see more of these swimmers on an international stage, but also it's fun to watch people swim off events. Like we were talking about Manadu going for the 50 breast. I mean, it's hilarious to watch. I mean, let's be honest here. He's not the most natural breaststroker, but
Yeah.
it's still fun to watch all these people swim with these off events that you wouldn't see in an international stage where it's a little bit more serious. It's more for like the history of the sport. So I thought that was pretty
Seeing
interesting.
the joy they had when it came out of the water.
Right,
They were
yeah.
so happy. You can tell a lot of these swimmers didn't swim NCAAs.
Mm-hmm,
They didn't
right.
swim that college
Yeah,
environment.
right, yeah.
So they
Actually,
get to
yes,
experience that for the
that's
very
true,
first
yes.
time. Or,
Mhm.
Sarah didn't do it. Chad didn't do it.
Yeah,
And they
all
get to
energy
come out and they get a
standard,
high
yeah.
five and be a teammate and just race. I mean, you think about Chad swims on South Africa. They don't have a big national team. Sarah, Sweden doesn't have a big national team. And they're going to come out and it must be fantastic for these kids.
Definitely.
And
I mean, swimming at conference meets and at
That's a-
NCAA is
yeah,
like
it's equivalent.
so much fun. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
different than any other meet you ever
Right.
swim at. I think it's a
Yeah.
cool flavor for that for these.
And
swimmers.
the
Okay.
other thing that was kind of surprising, maybe I need to update myself on the names for Energy Standard. Energy Standard's killing everybody. Like, let's be real. Like, Cali Condors by
Yeah.
the end.
They
Like,
had that DQ
Yeah.
standard, right?
Yeah,
true,
Should
they
have won
did.
by even
Right.
more.
Well, they
Mhm.
still got points for that.
they did?
Yeah, some guy in SwimSwam wrote a really good article about the points breakdown and how the league didn't. They've made some weird judgments in the way that the scoring works. So
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Kudos to the
Yeah.
coverage and
Yeah.
swim swam.
Right.
Yeah, they're
kudos
doing a
to
good job
them.
with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So,
yeah, that
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, the Energy Standard, the fact they were killing, because if you were to tell me, like, put these names out, or just kind of the best names on the list, I would think Cali Condors would be the team, and also
Really?
that's the team I'm rooting for.
All right.
Go Condors.
Do you think so? We were talking about going to see it in Vegas, right, for the finals. Do you think it would be as cool to see it live? Like we saw the
Ooh.
fantastic graphics and the overlays and the screens and the lanes. Wonder what it was like for the live environments.
It looks like a blast. The DJ
Yeah.
on
But we
deck,
know who
people
the-
on their
DJ on
dancing.
deck.
I mean, I think I'm not sure what the commentary's like in the stadium
Yeah, so-
and things like that. but it looks like a blast.
Right.
So I'm excited to check one of these out.
And I'm curious also, I know people are fans of individual swimmers. Is there a fan base for each team that's starting to develop within like the swimming community? I'm very curious about that.
Yeah,
They're
no,
still in
not
merch
sure.
Like,
now.
you know, like
So
Yeah,
for
they are,
example,
yeah.
for
Certain
example,
teams are, for
like,
sure.
For example, I'm a
I like
Warriors
Lakers.
fan, but I'm also a Steph Curry fan. You know, I like Kobe Bryant, but I'm not a Lakers fan.
You like Kobe Bryant?
I do like Kobe Bryant actually.
The Mamba.
He's the best player I ever watched growing up,
Laker.
outside of Steph Curry.
What do you got, Brian? I see you in
Or
depth
LeBron.
there.
Okay,
And Katie.
moving
All right,
on.
NBA.
Moving on to next
I've
week.
seen Lakers Saturday.
Ryan Held, Matt Grievers,
Oh, that's a good team.
Nathan Adrian.
Short course team.
Who's the fourth one? Chadwick. Who you got for skins? You get 2.
Held. And
I go Nate.
probably Chadwick.
Held and Chadwick. So you're sitting Adrian.
Held.
All right.
Yeah, but
I'm going with Nathan.
I haven't seen. I will say this: Adrian did go in 18 against me in a master swim meet, so I know he can go fast in season. And he always goes
casually.
48, so maybe I just haven't seen him do short course enough recently to
I don't know
realize
what shape he's in.
he's in a 48 long course 100 free shape every minute of his life. He's at 18 yards. Maybe he
Keep
He
in
will be
mind,
good at the
also
skins.
on the bench are
Ugh.
Peroni
Peroni.
and Tom
Oh,
Shields.
wow.
I think Peroni.
And
Peroni.
Silverscar, who
Yeah.
was also on Cal's tour.
Can
for
Peroni
relay,
do a
wasn't he?
50?
You can go.
Oh,
100.
that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
But-
Actually, I think he might have been pretty good in the 50, like for Indiana, like at NC's.
Peroni?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
a
I
50
mean,
to
he's
200
I
guy. I don't
doubt
think
it,
he's as
yeah.
good at the 50, but he's got the range.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I actually don't know. Maybe
So it depends on what they're swimming in the rest of the meet. But
Yeah,
when I saw
exactly.
that roster, I went, oh man, that's
What's
such
right
skins
before?
decision.
that team looks good. The women aren't as strong. But 200.
No, but it doesn't
200 flies
matter.
right before.
And
That's
before
what I
that
mean,
is
it kinda
4x1
matters.
free.
What?
Before that is a 4x1 free mix relay.
Or is that
Yeah.
further
Right
ahead?
before the skins.
Right before the
And
skins.
then there's a
Yeah.
break, and then there's 2 fly. So that's why Leclos
like a
may
ski
never
road,
do.
yeah.
Because I'm intrigued if Leclos would do the skins, because I think he'd be pretty decent at it.
Agreed.
Mhm.
But anyways, I think that's enough for ISL. And we got other things to talk about in the news.
Right.
We have some Russian doping scandal. We have some testosterone pellets. Luke, do you think Americans get a pass on doping? And by a pass, I mean are just glossed over more than other countries.
It's interesting that if you have a really fast, unbelievable swim, if a swimmer happens to split faster than Ryan Lochte at 400 IM coming home and she's female, immediately there's suspicions and that's right. But if American swimmer wins the mile by 25 meters, all of a sudden there's no suspicions on her. Or if an American swimmer can win 8 gold medals, there's no suspicions on them. But if that was to happen in reverse to other swimmers, could you imagine if somebody came and if Malik goes and swims in Tokyo and wins the 100 and 200 fly and the 200 IM and was on a relay, they would be like, oh, where did this guy come from all of a sudden?
Yeah.
They would be, how come this quick rise? They wouldn't be as accepted as an Australian or an American, or like, look at PD. No suspicion of drugs of PD.
Mm-hmm.
He's stacked. He wins by miles, doing things unbelievable. Not once mentioned at all. I'm not saying he is at all. He man is a phenom. But could you imagine if this was a Russian or a Chinese swimmer?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's you're
Right.
guilty by association and the environment you're in. So they are given a bite, and we've had. I mean, the last positive was Shane, was the Australian female, right?
Right. Yep.
Shannon Jack.
Shannon
Shannon
Jack.
Jack, yeah.
And then an American, and then we've had issues. We've had suspicions of problems down in USC, right? Unfortunately, a lot of the swimmers there, and that's glossed over. So I'm just saying, there definitely is a bias when it comes to the media, and we only hear American media. We don't hear the Chinese media. We don't hear the Russian media. So
Sure.
it comes from that. So it's what we're exposed to as well. So forgive me if there's no offense to anybody. I'm just saying I do think that you need to look at different perspectives, and that's why it was nice to hear Mark Foster commentating here, because Mark Foster commentates for the BBC when they do the Olympic coverage. And when I watch the Olympics, I hear the non-American coverage of NBC, and even that coverage of watching the Olympics from a non-American perspective, not rowdy, you get a whole different perspective on just how these athletes are performing.
Sure.
The Canadians. So imagine when it comes down to very sensitive topics as suspicions of drugs.
Definitely.
What do you guys come to?
I don't know. My question is, Brian, what do you think of what what Dwyer tested positive for? Do you think that's something that could just happen without you knowing, or something that you think
Let's
is
backtrack a
acceptable?
little bit. What is this pellet thing? Because I'm still a little bit confused about it.
I mean,
It's still a little strange, yeah.
I'm not a scientist or
Yeah.
an expert.
Let's
but,
clarify that first.
But at least I read on it that it's like a small incision, and you
Yeah.
drop like rice-sized pellets, about
Right.
10, right? Like each pellet is about the size of a grain of rice,
Mm.
and you drop it in your skin, and then there's like a slow release. I don't know how long you leave it in, but like just on the surface, I mean, the word testosterone doesn't sound, even if it was prescribed, it doesn't sound like the type of thing that I go, yeah, that's probably all right.
But did he know
I shouldn't look
testosterone was
into
in
that
it?
any further.
We don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's not
Yeah.
like, I mean,
We don't
I don't know if there was a medical issue. There's something that's a little bit interesting to me about this thing is that he was absolved of some guilt because there was a prescription for the treatment, and so, I mean, look. With all of these cases, we'll never know what the actual truth is. We talked about Sun Yang before, and we don't know what the truth was there. We'll find out in the live stream. But with Connor, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sound good that it's testosterone is one big thing. But then there's been other things, clenbuterol in multiple sports.
Sure.
There's, of course, there are medical benefits to it, but there could also be, I mean, like there are athletic benefits to taking some of these things, or to receiving the benefits of them, but there's also perhaps some like a medical need that it's used for as well.
Is there no way of him having declared that and testing that before and saying this is what I was going to do?
Again, that goes back to the testosterone thing. It's like, I mean, it's a banned substance, right? And, I mean, not banned because we all testosterone is naturally present, but like, I can't imagine filling out a temporary use exemption, like a TUE for testosterone. Nor would I feel like right about the application and the procedure that it requires. That it just sounds to me like, okay, so you're going to cut me open and you're going to put little pills inside me.
But he asked if this stuff was legal to the person, according to the article, and they said, yeah, they did a Google search and said this is legal. Called a Google search. That seems so wishy-washy.
Yeah, and so this has long been my gripe with WADA and USADA, and I'm not familiar with any other countries. But like the support for athletes.
That's right.
I lived the life of filling out whereabouts forms.
Of course.
And I got knocked by USA Swimming once because I missed a test. And it was during my 60-minute window. So for anybody who doesn't know, I think Cody Miller explained this really well in one of his vlogs. An athlete who has ranked, like, I think it's in the top 50 in the world. And every NGB is a little bit different. National Governing Body is a little bit different. But like once you're on the list, you're always on the drug list or the testing list until you retire. And it doesn't mean that every athlete gets tested the same amount. The best athletes in the world, say in your top 10 in the world, get tested a lot more frequently than if you're in the 10 to 25 and 25 to 50. And so, but you have to complete every quarter. You have to look at the next quarter and fill in a 60-minute time window in every day, confirming where you're going to be with an address and what time of day you're going to be there. And so what for most athletes do is they do it around their routine.
I guess,
yeah. So it's like, if they have workout every day at 6 a.m., then a lot of them do it at 6 a.m. at the pool.
Yep.
That way they know they're going to be there, and you only have to change it if you're going to travel, and you do have to change it if you're going to travel to a meet. If you change your weekend plans and decide to go 2 hours away to the beach for an afternoon,
we're going to be practice off next Monday.
You need to look at your calendar for that day that you submitted, and you have to give them 24 hours advance notice. It's hard. It's not easy. You
miss three of them. What happens?
Yeah, and so you missed 3 of them. It's a positive test. But what happened to me is what happened to me is I missed one of them, and the reason I missed one legitimately is because I was in the basement watching sports with a good friend of mine and I didn't have cell signal in his basement. And I didn't get all the text messages and calls from my roommate who was at our apartment when the drug tester showed up, who was trying to get in hold of me, because when the drug tester shows up, you have 60 minutes until you can physically show at that place. And they waited for me there, but I didn't know, right? And so from that moment on, USA Swimming was all over me about filling out my forms and making sure that they were correct and all this stuff.
Did I tell you George's story of the same thing?
No, all I can think of is, did you get that memo about those TPS reports?
TPS.
So,
Office Space?
George Ravel was staying by me, and it was 6 a.m. I'm hearing a doorbell ring, doorbell ring, doorbell ring, doorbell ring. I'm like, who the heck is coming at 6 a.m.? So I go into my kitchen, and there are 2 old people standing outside my kitchen door in my driveway. They had let themselves in, and there's 2 old people standing and just looking at me. I was like, what's going on? And I opened the door, can I help you? And they introduced themselves and showed their ID.
Sir, take your pants off.
George was
Get something to insert in your thigh.
George was sleeping. He had on his eye mask and he had on his earmuffs, and he didn't hear it. I'm lucky I heard it. They were about to leave.
George sleeps with earmuffs?
Yeah.
Is it cold?
And eye mask.
I mean, like noise cancelling stuff.
Oh.
Earplugs.
Yeah, gloves on, a scarf.
But it was that easy to have missed it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I never you know where he lives in
Yeah.
Trinidad. So his parents live in Trinidad at the top of this mountain up in almost the forest.
Yeah.
And he was on a boat, and they showed up. They flew down to Trinidad. They found a way up to this address. This is really far in the country. Wow. I mean, there's nowhere to find him. And he never thought that would happen. And he got a phone call from his mother, and he said he drove so fast to get back to there. That was going to be a second missed one if he did it. Mm-hmm. He hasn't missed it. But yeah, it's a continuous story, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, so the point is, like, it's not an easy thing. And so I guess the devil's advocate to Connor's guilty is, and this isn't about like testosterone, but I guess maybe the point that I'm going to make is there's a lack of education for the athletes, and the what they're expected to do in this to maintain a clean sport is not a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, you know, in the US we have the FDA and various like, you know, health administrations that recommend what the proper diet is. There's many schools of thought about like the ketogenic diet and vegetarian and veganism, and like, you know, and supplements are the same way.
Yeah.
Where there's no governing body
Not at
that authorizes any of it. And I don't know where the line is between what's performance enhancing and what's not performance enhancing. So, I mean, yeah, I took caffeine before I raced, and I took creatine throughout the season to help build muscle.
Mm-hmm.
These things weren't
Could be tainted
naturally in my diet. I mean, I could have, you know, I mean, yeah, they were. I was drinking coffee, or, you know, so like those things I took expecting that they were enhancing my performance.
Sure, you were taking.
Do you know it also
performance
matches the
enhancers,
manufacturer, because you need to make sure the manufacturer hasn't tainted your product as well. So
Yeah, and how am I going to know
that
that?
tainted?
Right, and so like now I think there's better support for getting like independent lab
Testing on and
tests
stuff.
for batches
And
of
stuff,
supplements.
Mm-hmm.
But still, you can have a tainted batch of a supplement that's
sure.
been
Yeah.
lab tested, and like if you have a sticker on the top that says lab tested,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
how are you going
Right.
to trust that?
Big time.
And if you and like we've had athletes who are who get banned, even maybe reduced bans, but get hit with something
Mm-hmm.
by taking a banned substance that then they were able to prove was like,
It was Hardy,
well,
right?
it
She
was
went back
tainted.
and tried to sue Advocare,
Yeah,
or did sue Advocare.
yeah,
For
exactly.
there being,
you know, and then before that, Kicker Vincel sued Hammer Nutrition and won like a ton of money.
Yep.
So I mean, like, it's not a new thing. It's
Mm-mm.
not an easy thing, and there's a ton of swimmers out there, and other sports
Well, he
too.
was
But
taking
there's a
his
lot
supplements.
there's a lot of swimmers who are out there like taking things,
yeah, they take all
and
types of
they're
stuff.
towing that line between what's legal and what's on the banned list. And I'm just saying, like, that it's always moving, it's
an
always
arbitrary-
shifting,
Yeah,
and it's not easy. It's not an easy world to navigate.
big
But
time.
that's what he said. He says here he thought he was taking a supplement prescribed by his dietitian, and he just didn't do the due diligence. But he didn't know he was taking testosterone, according to the article.
Yeah.
The article says he wanted to take a supplement to help his mental health.
Yeah, and again, so like
So your point is quite
To-
valid.
Yeah, and I think, and that's why in these cases it's so hard
It's
to
hard.
say.
You
Like,
don't know what was
on
presented.
the surface level, does the headline sound really bad? Yeah.
Mhm.
But also, I mean, I've met Connor. I knew his parents. Like, or I mean, I met him at swim meets and stuff when we overlapped. I was at Auburn, he was at Florida. Like, everything about him. And it just doesn't matter that like good people don't cheat, but it's
Yeah.
just like. I don't know. Does he strike me as the kind of guy who would cheat? I don't know him that well, but no. I mean, it didn't. I thought he had a lot of performances that were clean. So, like, we just
You don't know.
It's really hard to know.
And back to what I asked Luke originally. So I was with the Chinese camp for multiple months with Sun Yang and all that. And if we, back to your point about how complicated it is. I mean, he tested positive for a heart medication that was legal the year before it got banned. And he has a diagnosed heart issue that he takes medication for. So he was, not aware of this change, or his camp was not aware of this change, or how much medication he could take. He tested positive at a competition that was at this competition where he won by like 30 seconds in the mile. So it is very tough for athletes to stay on top of it. And unfortunately, and this is, an issue with China and Russia, that they do have that reputation, but things happen. It is confusing. And I think that's where it does get tricky on what should, be thrown against the athlete and what should just be made as 100%, they're guilty, when there are a lot of gray lines in it. And I do think, as much as we want to throw the athletes under the bus and, people should know better, the governing bodies aren't as clear with it. But it is very hard on their part too, because there are so many different things coming out and there is so much changing there. And like I said, just the fact, the pure point of what is decided as a legal performance enhancing substance and what's an illegal one is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they make these decisions. Like you said, caffeine, the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
Probably just because it's like, how can we ban this? It's everywhere.
Right.
But we know that does enhance performance.
I'd love to see the ISL, if the ISL's taken such a strong stance against people that have been convicted or whatever of a doping violation aren't welcome in our league, which I like the idea. I have some reservations about it because, who's to say
Things
that,
happen, right?
that the trial goes the right way and actually shows the truth for some of these athletes. There's certainly people that have gotten banned that probably were fine, were clean.
Yeah.
But what I think they should do is take some of the, if there's proceeds and some of the distribution, and put it back into drug or like education and support for supplements, like for WADA, or have a partnership or something like that.
Something, right?
I think it'd be cool to say like, okay, well we put a line in the sand, but here's what we're doing to make it better for all the athletes.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a very bold thing that they're doing.
And by that I mean like support independent lab testing for everybody who participates in ISL or something like that to help them better like stay on top of the things that they're taking, or to feel more confident in it. Because I mean, look, we had a dog when I was little. I didn't grow up in a dog family. We had a dog, and we had one of those like shock collars on the dog, right, with an invisible fence.
Did you ever put it on yourself?
No, but
my sister.
But the theory is like you put an invisible fence, you bury it all around the perimeter of your yard, and then you put the collar on the dog, and you train them where the border is, and they can run around the yard all fine until they get to the border. That way you don't have to put up a real fence. Well, my dog never got it. My dog thought as soon as that collar came out that she was running out into a minefield.
Got it.
And it scared the crap out of her. That is what it's like taking supplements as an athlete. You're playing with fire.
But what if it's
You don't know for sure that like, okay, well, I'm within the rules, but if I go, how close am I to the boundary? I don't know.
But you are more likely to take it when you know it's state sponsored and state protected. When the state is protecting you and the state is modifying results and protecting you, as we saw in an article recently.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about what that showed, or I mean, even going back to maybe Icarus and things like that, because I think that all ties in pretty close
the
together.
Sochi Olympics in the lab that was manipulating the tests and changing results, and the article that came out today with thousands of Russian tests were meant to be manipulated and changed to protect high-profile former and current athletes across all events, and that's absolutely something that can happen. And looking at Icarus, for instance, this is a documentary that was nominated for Academy Award at least.
Very good
exactly.
documentary. You can see it on Netflix.
But yeah, that's so. I was about to ask, well, why are athletes? Why do they feel the need to drug? Why do they feel the need to take these shortcuts? And obviously, there's some very obvious answers. but also it's because it's a state-sponsored thing and it's told it's okay. Or there's pure ignorance and they don't know any better for themselves, they're not educated, or the state isn't bothered to tell them with the governing bodies.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a tough one, and I think with, thanks, man. I think with Russia and Icarus brought up so many things, from athletes appearing to not know, and this goes back to even like surely is it Babasha, like
what have I shown the Babasha?
Exactly. So back then, from my understanding, Russian athletes were being given performance-enhancing steroids and is saying, hey, here are your vitamins, take your vitamins. And these athletes weren't even aware that they were doping back then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have state-sponsored doping in that regard. Then you have in Russia where they're knocking the caps off in Sochi, switching out the vials and things like that. So there's different ways that it seems that these different countries have gone about
From the
this.
East Germans to the Chinese in 1994 to the Russians of Sochi 2004 to the Americans. Sorry.
So I don't know.
To the Americans of what era?
Americans
There was
of
an
what
era
Wow.
of American
Oh,
doping.
wow.
Which era would you pick?
That took me a moment to like hear. Yeah.
Call them out, Luke.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Come on,
Name
historian.
names.
Come on.
But anyways, so I guess I'm
By the way, that's the problem as well. Like it's really dangerous to call out suspicions that's unfounded and that's libel and that's terrible to do. But at the same time, there are people who are worried to call out superpowers and the people who have the money and the power. So there's a hard catch-22. Go ahead, but I got very nervous just now because of the libel and was because of the.
Some of them are concerned, but then you have we saw it at Worlds this summer. You have swimmers who are taking a really strong stance against Sun Yang, and I don't know. I mean, regardless of the results of the CAS hearing,
They're being.
I mean, I don't know that it'll sway their opinion, but I mean, I don't know. It could change our perspective, and maybe they don't look so good anymore. Maybe they don't look so noble.
I got an interesting question. Would it make sense to just allow doping? Would that be fair?
That goes down, isn't it? SNL
Super
skits?
Olympics.
Oh yeah.
Where, I think we
Okay,
can get into my ideal sporting event
Yeah.
here shortly.
Yeah, baseball.
Super Olympics.
I want to hear more.
Give me all the testosterone.
Yeah, but
all the steroids.
but yes. So the steroid era in baseball was awesome. I loved the summer of '98
Oh, I remember that vividly.
and watching Sosa and
Sorry,
McGuire
too young
crush
to remember.
baseballs. Sosa,
Seiko.
McGuire, yeah, I mean,
Second Seiko.
Bonds.
Bonds was later. Canseco was earlier. Come on, let's dial it in.
America's game. That's all right, Luke.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
But that was
Aren't you
super
pressing
fun.
the names?
Let's get back to cricket.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
But
Sorry.
and yet we have innovation doping with the wedge and with
Tech suits.
suit
Lane
technology.
Let's be
lane,
real.
lane lines.
Come on,
and-
tech suits.
Yeah, I
Let's
mean,
be real. Yeah.
So we allow those
Yeah.
things. I mean, again, those things are
Yeah.
fair
Is
across
there drug
the
testing
board.
in NFL?
But
Is there drug testing in the NFL? There is, but I think it's all self-done, and most of it seems to be more marijuana and recreational stuff than anything that people test positive for. But some people get popped for PEDs. So,
where would you put your pellets?
Brian, you know where I'm gonna put mine.
I'll let Justin
In your,
handle
in
this.
your,
That
bi-
sounds
in your
intimate.
biceps to get ready for spring break?
Yep, definitely. Right side.
Strong side.
I don't know.
I don't know. You don't know where you'd put them?
There's so many good
I
spots.
think I'd put them in my cheek, like I've got a dip.
Dip?
in it.
From the south, for sure, right there.
Put it right here.
Luke, where'd you put your pellets?
My left toe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Left out. Don't put Luke on the spot.
I don't know. I'm not
He needs
good
to
at.
prepare these thoughts in
I'll put them
advance.
on in my kneecap.
I'm gonna put it on the left lateral aspect of my kneecap.
I had a bone chip off my kneecap. Maybe I should
Fill it in?
They got removed. I'll fill it in with my. They'll never find it.
What is it that an athlete is doing now that is legal, and they realize, oh crap, we're gonna change the laws? Like Dennis Pankratov, what he did. You know who Pankratov is?
Nope.
Yeah, he breathed to his side.
He would do butterfly kicks
lot
underwater.
underwater, yeah.
He was one of the first ones to do that,
Uh-huh.
and he would scull like this in the front, right? So they changed the law because of Pankratov.
We had Lochte rule.
We had a Lochte rule. We had
what's the Lochte rule?
He would go on his back, right?
We
So
had-
in the 2IM, he would kick. Oh, sorry, he would kick on his back, 15 meters on the freestyle leg, and then turn over. So they're saying that on the
I didn't know that
freestyle
rule was
leg,
made for Lochte.
you have
the
to
Japanese
be
breaststroker
transition.
Kosiko.
Kosuke Kitagina.
Yeah, they changed the rule for him.
Mhm.
They changed so Forbes full body suit.
Right.
I mean, so what?
Well,
but those all were
Or
legal
not capping,
and fine. And in baseball, it was not illegal to take those drugs at the time, right? That's what they're saying. So what is it now that athletes are doing right now in our sport of swimming that's going to consider, that's an unfair advantage that we need to dial right back? Is there anything you can think of? Is it a supplement? Is it a massage? Is it a diet? Is it the access to sleep hyperbaric chambers? Is it access to unfair advantages that are not fair across the board? Because that's what the suits era was about. It was about athletes getting access to the jackets of the world who couldn't afford to do it. That was one of the arguments for against it, right?
Yeah.
Unfair advantages right across the sport.
You talking
What
about
is it
like the swimming caster Semenya?
I mean,
that's
Yeah,
that's that's what comes to mind when you
Perhaps,
say
yeah.
that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
It's not swimming, but I mean,
absolutely. No. It could be something like that.
it's kind of like that where everybody goes, "Well, that's not fair."
right. Yeah. So what is it now?
You're not.
Is,
You're not
can you think of
normal. That's not
anything?
fair.
Is it
Right or wrong? I mean,
no, totally.
Yeah.
It's access to the money. Unfortunately, that's never going to change. The countries that have the most money tend to have the best athletes.
Yeah, I don't
What is
know
it?
what
I
is
don't
going
know.
to change next, in all honesty. I mean,
What's the next rule
I think
of
there's a
it?
lot of supplements that could go, but who knows which one it could be or why, because that's so, like Brian was alluding to, so fickle. As far as biomechanical, technical things, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, I think breaststroke could get some better regulation on dolphin kicking and things like that, but I don't know how they're going to control
with
that.
the-
well, that's always the
undulation
thing.
of
You
it,
talking about
yeah.
underwater or
No,
like Molly
no,
Hannah's
during-
breast or
Both, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I mean, that's the stroke
I'm
that's
surprised she doesn't get called more often.
I mean, she's
I mean, it sure looks like it, and it long has. I know she's
Yeah.
been called on it before, but I mean,
not that often though. Not like
Not
Miller's
often,
pull
no,
up,
yeah.
Miller's stuff. He
Oh.
gets needs more.
Well,
Right,
therefore,
yeah.
should there be evolution then? Should we seen evolution in swim. Breaststroke got invented. Butterfly got invented. Recently in the last 40 years. Should we see evolution in a new stroke, a new event happen?
Butterfly's new, Justin.
I didn't know that.
Comparatively,
Damn.
like the 53 is a
Damn.
new. We talked about new events in a podcast many podcasts ago. Is there a new evolution that can make us go faster in the water? Like
Are the things that can
a
make us-
drug-free sport? What about like a unlimited underwater race?
yeah. I mean,
Now we're on-
Allow stuff.
We're getting on the Luke tangent game.
Yeah.
I
like the
we are.
idea of super
We are.
Olympics.
What's gonna be illegal?
like-
What's the next event we're gonna do? I love it.
It's the Super Olympics. That's what I'm talking about.
All back
yeah,
to Super
no,
Olympics.
I mean, no, I can't think of anything.
Okay,
I mean,
okay, fine.
like,
Super Olympics? I think that's a good idea.
what are the Super Olympics?
Everything's legal, and I think it will become interesting once people with prosthetics become, and this probably will happen with running
Oh,
quicker
yeah.
than
Yeah.
swimming,
Who
and
was
I
the
think it already is
prosthetic person
happening.
A few years ago, the person who
Oscar.
yeah.
Who murdered people?
The guy
What?
who killed his girlfriend.
What?
Yep.
Oh wait, what?
Oscar Pistorius.
You only saw the good part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you are allowed to do whatever, or people are considering, or people would rather go see,
Okay, so people with big hands was the one that always struck me on this. I'm like, what a huge advantage, because we always put on paddles to go faster. But if you got big hands or you get hand implants, there's no reason why you can't get like finger extensions.
Why can't you get finger extensions?
I
It's
don't
not
know
against
why
the
you
law.
can't.
It's not against the
Is
rules.
it illegal?
There's no rule right now that says.
I don't think so. Why
Damn.
can't you get finger extensions?
Justin,
Time to go.
you're going under the knife.
Alrighty.
People always talked about Torpedo
Right
at
bicep,
size 17
exactly.
foot.
Exactly.
Yeah, size 17 foot.
Yeah, how come nobody's talking about that?
What if we gave
That's what I would do.
Justin tripled his hand size and gave him size 25 feet? Do you think he would be Olympic caliber swimmer?
Well, you gotta give me a lot of steroids and testosterone.
That's illegal. We're not doing illegal.
No, we want
Yeah,
Come on now, that's over the line, man.
But I
this
want to
is-
be illegal.
This is safe.
State-sponsored, core-sponsored body modification.
How much are you gonna give me for my bonus?
No,
Depends
but
if
the
you
ability
win.
to control.
I don't know
what
how much
supplement out there-
the finger extensions cost.
Yeah.
I remember
Until they
taking
afford 8.
my best lactic tolerance set in college is when I had really bad heartburn because I had 4 hot dogs for lunch and I had to take Tums because I just had a really bad heartburn, and my lactic tolerance set was unbelievable. What if there is a prescription out there, a supplement that's going to help me control my lactate peaking?
Yeah, so
Sodium
I experimented with
bicarbonate.
sodium bicarb before.
That's it, Tums.
Yeah. So like sodium
Fantastic.
bicarbonate, you take like a box of Arm & Hammer
Yeah.
and dump it in a 16-ounce Gatorade
Yep, that
And-
buffers it.
and chug it before
I
you
had a
race.
great race.
And I swam. I remember doing this. I did it at Athens, Georgia, University of Georgia, and swam 100 free. I think anyway. Yeah, like I didn't go fast. It didn't seem to me that it benefited me in the race, but I cleared lactate in like 8 minutes.
So
Jeez.
caffeine is legal to a limit, but maybe that's legal.
Yeah,
too.
but okay, so I'm
It
glad
is-
you brought this
it
up
is
though, because
legal,
that's been a
yeah.
differentiator for like long talked about for Phelps and lactate
Yeah.
is that they
Exactly.
like
Clear.
they clear it really fast. Production wise, I'm not sure.
Not that high. They don't get that
Okay.
high.
And I don't know about the correlation between like production and power output
hard they
because
work
that's what
to
I've heard
do
is
that.
like max power output you produce a lot more. So like
You do, but neither of those
are they
guys
less
were,
explosive because of the fact that they don't?
yeah,
put as
neither of
much
them were
out?
max output guys though.
No, true,
Right.
true, yeah. But like, there's a huge benefit to being able to get ready for the next race. I don't know what Dressel. I'd be super interested to know what Dressel tests because
He's
the
going
guy
21:30.
swims so many
consistent.
races,
He's going 21:30.
and he still swims fast over and over again. So I have a hard. He obviously clears lactate well.
It's called Greg Troy workouts.
No,
No, you think so? To make him.
A lot
such
of
a
people
beast?
have
I don't
done
think.
Troy
No,
stuff,
I think it's
though.
natural.
A
I don't
lot of
think it's
people
just
have done
Troy.
Troy stuff,
Yeah.
and
It's
Can't do this,
incredible to
right?
me.
Mhm.
Well, and I don't think he's doing Troy workouts. He's doing the sprint workouts. He's not doing what Lochte was doing or anything else. Or
He was
Dwyer.
doing some mid-distance workout, supposedly his senior junior.
I'm sure he
year,
does
yeah.
some. Yes, we've seen him have good endurance, and he does. But he's not doing the same
Right,
workout as
absolutely.
like
Like
the
Like the
distance
400
guys as well.
IM stuff, yeah.
Yeah, or even the mid D guys.
Mhm.
So, but that's a great one that is untapped and been experimented with for a while.
yeah,
But
there's research showing
problem
that it helps out.
is it gives you the runs.
Yeah, it'll wreck you.
Makes you,
Yeah.
like,
So there's
Yeah.
8 espressos right before
Yeah.
you swim your 50 free. But that's legal.
What?
Eight
Yeah, but then
espressos.
you're so jittery too that it's
Yeah,
like
anxious.
you can almost like overdo it.
So it's I know. What if we find out that a ketogenic diet is something that has an unfair advantage and we cannot afford that? You need to have some level of carbs in your body or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's
A lot of
interesting.
people will say that, or Dr. Tim Noakes thinks that it is performance enhancing, not performance enhancing, but will enhance an ultra endurance performance because it'll
Keto?
get you running on
Yeah.
fat versus running on carbohydrate,
Different
not
fuel
creating
sources and slow burn.
glycogen and things like that. But
That's why I'm good at a Tahoe swim right now.
Because of the
Doesn't
fat-
matter, you don't
fat-
even-
the
fat
carb
content.
load.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
on keto.
I'm the fat content.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
You're running on fat.
Polyunsaturated.
Sounds like insulation in the water.
That too.
I'd probably freeze.
Polar bear swim.
Well, maybe that's the next doping for. So the
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Well, we just talked about like there's a long debate about weight too in swimmers and whether or
That's
not
true.
like a little bit of fat helps with buoyancy and then
Just
create
in
a better
swimmers
body
and
position in the
stuff.
water. So like I knew, well, so I mean, like Margaret Holzer was a swimmer that like I overlapped with at Auburn, and she like long said, yeah, I feel like better when I've got a little bit on me, and so like she wasn't chasing the whole like get super lean, or just didn't matter. Like, and
Yeah.
she was like a larger swimmer, and she didn't care about that because it felt her be stronger in the water. Whereas like for me, if I was soft, I didn't feel fast. I wasn't quick, and so like there's a different there's confidence to it too, but then there's like that sort of.
Was it a power to weight ratio difference, or was there a bigger volume to push through the water, sort of more resistance? You think when you're a little bit bigger, if you put 5 pounds on, you're putting 5 pounds more. If that 5 pounds is fat, it's mental. If 5 pounds is muscle, maybe it's better. Then you have a bigger circumference of mass that's moving through the water. It's just like I don't know. It's interesting for you to study.
Well,
that.
I think we're starting to see with more and more athletes that I don't know. I think more athletic, muscular is good in swimming, and that we're seeing it more and more with athletes. And I think With women, the only deception is that some of them put on muscle, just not as lean as guys do. So maybe someone like Holzer, she liked being a little bit bigger because that was just more muscle mass. So she sat better and stronger in the water than necessarily a buoyancy thing than anything. So I'm intrigued with that if there was some, body fat and muscle mass testing done on someone like that. There are, I think, a lot of female swimmers that, and I think female swimmers get the short end of it because, they do bulk up in the shoulders and the lats and all that, and they want to try and lean out for whatever reason. A lot of it's just from, medias and things like this, and it's that they're just muscular in that area, and it's just not lean, seeing their vascularity and things like that, but it's just muscle mass, which is good for their performance.
Depends on the swimmer, right? Look at Penelope Bloom versus Kate Campbell versus.
They're just different, different swimmers are different there for sure, and I think even different specialties are different. The sprint, and this goes to men too. I mean, the sprint men obviously have a different physique than a lot of the distance men.
Yeah, true.
Remember, you used to be able to look at a swimmer and you can tell what event he's from. Most of the time, in general, you can say, "Oh yeah, that guy's 5'10", he's 170, he's probably a not breaststroke, maybe a 200 backstroke or something." You can tell but now it's kind of changing around a little bit more. Do you think?
We're gonna have to do this one day.
Yeah.
We'll pull up like 20 photos of people that we don't know, and we guess what strokes they do.
Yeah.
That's true.
In my head, I think I could.
It's changing some.
I think I could a little bit, but I don't know how accurate it really would be. You think you could, Justin?
Probably not. Not anymore.
Should we wrap this up?
Yeah,
I think so.
All right. So in summary, we recapped ISL and the first match.
Second match
is concluded. And we thought about it, and then we dove into some thoughts on performance enhancing events and doping.
All right. Hopefully we see third exhibition or match 3 of ISL, different teams.
World record?
Potentially, maybe. We'll cross our fingers.
We'll see.
John thinks Petey's going to break the world record.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Go LA Current.
55.6.
I saw a practice video of him going 26.
Yeah,
course,
that's what I was trying to get at last week. Yeah.
You're in 26 in practice.
Give me
Suited,
your
but still.
best London or. All right, that's it.
Sorry, Carly.
That's good. All right. Have a good day.
Bye.